Welcome everyone to the 7th lecture on representations of finite groups. Today we are going to prove a very important result that for a finite group, the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations is same as the number of conjugacy classes in the group G. Recall that in lecture 6 we showed that the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations in a group is at most the number of conjugacy classes in the group. Today we will show that it's an equality. So let me begin with two examples that will illustrate this result, for which we can prove this directly. So the first example is the following. Take G to be the cyclic group of order n. Since it is abelian, the number of conjugacy classes is precisely order of the group G. So also we know that for an abelian group, each irreducible representation is one-dimensional and two representations are equivalent if and only if they are the same as functions. So for each k between 0 and n minus 1, define phi k from G to C star, which is G11C, by phi k acting on a integer m mod n m bar, as one can easily check that each phi k is a homomorphism and all of them are distinct homomorphisms. And being one-dimensional, they are also irreducible. So therefore, in this case, the number of inequivalent irreducible representations is precisely order of the group G, which is precisely the number of conjugacy classes in the group G. Let us look at another example, some non-abelian example. So take G to be the symmetric group S3. Okay, so let me write its elements. So it has identity permutations and then these transpositions 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and 1, 3, 2. Total of 6 elements. And you can easily check that there are precisely 3 conjugacy classes in this. One is the conjugacy class of the identity element, singleton. And these 3 transpositions will lie in one conjugacy class. And these 3 cycles will lie in one conjugacy class. So a direct check shows that S3 has 3 conjugacy classes, okay, represented by, I just write representatives of the classes. So identity 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3. This 3 cycle 1, 2, 3. I will construct 3 irreducible representations, inequivalent irreducible representations of S3, showing the equality here. Alright. So note that each group has a trivial one-dimensional representation, which is of course irreducible. So that is always there. So let phi 1 from G to C star be the trivial representation. Trivial degree 1 representation. By definition, trivial representation degree 1 representation. Okay, that is phi 1 acting on any group element is just 1. All right, let us write one more representation. Let us write phi 2 from G to C star be the homomorphism given by phi 2 acting on any permutation here. So sigma here is sine of sigma, okay, namely which is defined to be 1 if sigma is even and 0 if sigma is odd. Note that each permutation can be written as a product of transpositions. Alright, so if you can write that permutation as a product of even number of transposition, you say it's even, and if you can write it as a product of odd number of transpositions, then you say it's odd. Alright, and you can easily check it's a homomorphism with kernel precisely the alternating group A3, and since it is one-dimensional, it's irreducible, and clearly it is not the same as phi 1. They are distinct as maps. Since the number of conjugacy classes in the symmetric group S3 is 3, the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations is at most 3. I have already found two irreducible representations, phi1 and phi2. So there can be at the most one more irreducible representation. Let us say phi3 is that irreducible representation, and suppose its degree is d. Then the sum of the squares of degrees of the inequivalent irreducible representation is at most the order of the group G. Then I have degree of phi1 square, that is 1 square, plus degree of phi2 square, that is 1 square, plus degree of phi3, which is d, that is d square, is always less than or equals to order of the group G, and order of the group G here is precisely 6, and that implies that d square is less than or equals to 4. Okay, that is d is less than or equals to 2. I will construct a representation phi3 explicitly and show that it is irreducible, thereby finding all irreducible representations of S3. Define phi3 from your group G, which is the symmetric group S3, to I will construct a degree 2 representation explicitly, GL2C, by the following. Phi3, I will just define it on generators. So phi3 acting on the cycle 1 2 is the matrix -1 -1 0 1, and phi3 acting on 1 2 3 is the matrix -1 -1 1 0. Okay, then phi3 is a representation of G of degree 2, and if I can show that phi3 is irreducible, then I have found all inequivalent irreducible representations of S3. To show that phi3 is an irreducible representation, I will use this proposition, which gives a characterization of irreducibility of a representation in terms of its character. So a representation phi is irreducible if and only if you look at the inner product of this character chi phi with chi phi, this should be precisely 1. By Mashke's theorem, every representation is equivalent to a direct sum of finitely many irreducible representations with some multiplicity for each irreducible constituent. So phi is equivalent to, let us say, m1 times phi1, direct sum with m2 times phi2, and so on, mk times phi k, where each phi I is an irreducible representation of your group G. The set chi of phi 1, chi of phi 2, and chi of phi k is an orthonormal set in Z of Cg, the space of all class preserving function on the group G. Alright, so, and also the character of phi is same as, because equivalent representations have the same character, so character of phi is sum of the characters of this. It can be written as m1 times chi of phi 1 plus so on mk times chi of phi k. So then if we take the inner product chi phi with chi of phi, this inner product, it turns out that this is just same as m1 square plus m2 square plus so on plus mk square. Thus chi phi, this inner product is 1, where each mi is a multiplicity, so it's a non-negative integer. So this inner product chi phi is 1 if and only if mi equals to 1 for some I and mj equal to 0 for all j not equal to I. But that happens if and only if phi is equivalent to that phi I. Okay, that means phi is irreducible. Alright, so here we will use this criteria for the representation phi 3 to show that it's irreducible. Let's use this criteria to check that phi 3 is indeed irreducible. So what is the character of phi 3? So chi of phi 3, let us find it out. What is chi of phi 3 acting on the identity element of the group G, which is the symmetric group, okay, which is precisely the degree of the representation, and degree of the representation here is 2, so it is 2. And chi of phi 3 acting on the 3 cycle 1 2 3 is a trace in this case is -1, and that's enough because characters are class preserving functions. So chi of phi 3 will have the same value on each conjugate of 1 2, that is 2 3 and 1 3. Similarly, chi of phi 3 will have the same value on each conjugate of 1 2 3, which is 1 3 2, which is -1. This implies that the character chi phi, this inner product, which by definition is 1 over order of the group G into summation G in the group G, chi phi of G is bar, right? Now, so that is same as 1 upon 6, and find this sum out. So with the identity element, the value is 2, so it is 2 square plus, and on the conjugacy class of 1 2 it is 0, so there are 3 such elements, 3 times 0 square, plus on the conjugacy class of 1 2 3 there are 2 elements, so 2 times the value on this, it is -1 square. Okay, and this turns out to be precisely 1. Hence phi 3 is irreducible, and phi 1, phi 2, phi 3 form the complete list of inequivalent irreducible representations of S3. Now to prove the main theorem, we need what is called regular representation of a group. The idea is very simple. So let G be a group, and V be the vector space spanned by elements of the group G. Okay, and V is equals to, if you want to be precise about the elements, you can write it as summation alpha G, where G is a group element, so that alpha G is a scalar. Okay, then V is a vector space over C, and in fact the dimension of this vector space over complex numbers is precisely order of the group G. Then there is a natural action of group G on V. So define phi from G to GLV by left multiplication. So in to be precise, we are using the left regular representation. You could also use the right one. Then you have to modify the statements accordingly. So define phi from G to GLV by phi of any group element will act on an element like alpha H an element of the group G, and it's just summation alpha H into GH, H an element of the group G. All right. If you want to be precise, you want to write in this form, so you can write it as, do some change of variable, and you can write it as alpha of G inverse X times X, where X is an element of the group G, where X is GH. All right. So it can be checked easily. That phi is a homomorphism, so hence our representation of G, and this is called the regular representation of G, called the left, in our case, left regular representation of our group G. So every group admits this canonical representation. The regular representation is the most important representation of a group G because it admits each irreducible representation of G as its constituent factor. Furthermore, the multiplicity of each irreducible representation of the group G in the regular representation is precisely the degree of the irreducible representation. Very interesting fact. And once we prove that, we will immediately get this result that the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations of a group G is precisely the number of conjugacy classes of the group. So let's proceed. So let us observe something about regular representation. So I record it in this form, proposition. The regular representation is always unitary. The regular representation of a group is unitary. We have already shown that each representation of a finite group is equivalent to a unitary representation. In fact, in this case, we can make phi itself as unitary. So the proof, there is a natural inner product on V. So define from V cross V to C by the following. So you take two element, summation alpha x, x belong to the group G, summation beta y, y belong to the group G, and you can set it as summation alpha x beta x bar, x belong to the group G. Okay, recall that this is the right hand side is the standard Hermitian inner product on Cn, okay, where n is the order of the group G. So in fact the vector space is isomorphic to Cn, where n is the order of the group G, right? So clearly this is an inner product on the vector space V. A straightforward check. Let's check that the regular representation is in fact unitary. So consider phi G acting on this element of the vector space alpha HH, and phi G acting on another element summation beta HH. Alright, this, and just evaluate it, but this is just multiplication by G, so that is summation alpha HH GH summation beta H GH. The summation here is over H. This, after doing change of variable, we can write it as summation alpha G inverse of X into X here, and summation beta G inverse of X into X here over the sum and this inner product. Okay, but you can easily check that. So now by definition this is simply the Hermitian inner product of the coefficients. So this turns out to be same as summation alpha of G inverse X beta of G inverse X bar. Alright, and because after doing some appropriate change of variable, you can in fact show that this is same as the the sum of alpha H into beta H bar H, alright, which is just same as the inner product of these two vectors, summation alpha HH and summation beta HH, which is just same as inner product of summation alpha HH and summation beta HH. So checking that the regular representation unitary is just straightforward. Let's find out character of the regular representation. Proposition. So the character of the regular representation phi from G to GLV is given by chi phi. It has to act on a group element of G is given like this. So it is order of the group G if G is identity element. That really happens for any character, right, which we observed early in lecture 6 as well. If you evaluate character of a representation on identity of the group, you get precisely the degree of the representation, which in this case is order of the group. Okay, but here it turns out to be 0 if G is not the identity element. Let's prove it. To find the character of the regular representation phi, let's fix a basis for the representation space V. Okay, so let us say order of the group G is n, and enumerate the group elements, say G equals to G1, G2 and so on, Gn. Okay, then recall how this regular representation act on elements of the vector space V. Then by definition phi of a group element G acting on a basis element of V, which are again group element, so acting on any Gj is just by definition it is G times Gj. Right? So therefore, if you want to find the matrix of phi sub G with respect to this basis, it turns out to be of the following form. Then the matrix of phi sub G is given by phi sub G, and its ijth entry is the following. This is 1 if Gi is G times Gj and 0 otherwise. Alright. In particular, because you want to find the trace, you have to find the entries phi G I. In particular phi G I, the entries look like this. This is 1 if G is 1 and 0 otherwise. Alright, so therefore character of phi evaluated at a group element G, which by definition is trace of this matrix, trace of the matrix of phi G, okay, and that turns out to be order the group G if G is 1, okay, and 0 otherwise. This proves the proposition. We can now prove this very interesting result, that the regular representation has each irreducible representation of the group G as its constituent. So I would like to call it a theorem. So let phi from G to GLV be the regular representation representation of a group G, then phi is equivalent to d1 times phi 1 direct sum d2 times phi 2 direct sum so on plus dk times phi k, where phi 1, phi 2 so on up to phi k is the complete list of inequivalent irreducible representations of group G. Representations of the group G, and di is precisely the degree of the representation phi I. Proof. By Masque's theorem, each representation of a finite group is equivalent to a direct sum of finitely many irreducible representations. Okay, so if we want to show that phi is equivalent to d1 phi 1 direct sum d2 phi 2 direct sum dk phi k, then we just need to show that the multiplicity of phi I in the decomposition of phi is precisely di. But recall from lecture 6 that the multiplicity can be obtained by taking the inner product of the character of phi with the character of the irreducible constituent. And the character of phi we just computed. So let's prove it. We compute the inner product of the character of the regular representation with character of the irreducible constituent phi I. By definition of the inner product on the group algebra, this equals to 1 by order of the group G, summation over G in G, chi phi of G, chi phi I of G bar. Just now we showed that character of the regular representation survives only at the identity element of the group. But we know that value of character of representation at identity element is the degree of the representation, which for phi is order of the group G, and for phi I it is di, which is precisely di. This shows that the multiplicity of phi I in the decomposition of phi is the degree of phi I, okay, which is di. Very interesting result. An immediate consequence of this is the following. If G is any finite group, and phi 1, phi 2, so on, phi k is the complete list of inequivalent irreducible representations of G, such that degree of phi I is di, then d1 square plus d2 square plus so on dk square is precisely order of the group G. Recall that in one of the lectures we showed that if you are given a bunch of inequivalent irreducible representations of a group G, okay, then the sums of the squares of their degrees is always less than or equal to order of the group G. In fact, it turns out that it is always equal to order of the group G if your collection is running over all inequivalent irreducible representations of the group G. The corollary follows at once from the preceding theorem. If we take the regular representation of the group G, then by preceding theorem, it is equivalent to a direct sum of d1 copies of phi1 with d2 copies of phi2, so on with dk copies of phi k's. And from here you get that degree of phi equal to d1 time degree of phi1 plus d2 time degree of phi2 plus so on plus dk time degree of phi k. That is order of the group G equal to d1 square plus d2 square plus so on plus dk square. Okay. Let's set another interesting consequence of the theorem. So let phi1, phi2, phi k be a complete list of inequivalent irreducible representations of a finite group G. Let di be the degree of the representation phi I. Then look at this set. Square root of dl phi l ij, where l is between 1 and k, and I and j are bigger than or equal to 1 and less than or equal to dl, the degree of the representation phi l. Okay, then this is an orthonormal basis for the vector space CG, the underlying vector space of the group algebra CG. This follows immediately from the preceding theorem, because we already showed that the coordinate functions of inequivalent irreducible representations form an orthonormal set in CG. Since these are d1 square plus d2 square plus so on plus dk square many functions, and we know that this sum is same as the dimension of the vector space CG, which is order of the group G, by preceding theorem, it follows that this set is in fact a basis for CG. We will use notation of the preceding corollary to prove the next theorem. So let phi1, phi2, phi k be a complete list of inequivalent irreducible representations of a finite group G. Let chi of phi1, chi of phi2, so on, chi of phi k be the characters of phi1, phi2, phi k respectively. Okay. Then in the previous lecture, we showed that characters of inequivalent irreducible representations form an orthonormal set in the center of the group algebra ZCG. So we know that the set chi of phi1, chi of phi2, so on, chi of phi k is orthonormal in center of the group algebra CG. Okay, and next theorem says that it is in fact a basis of CG. The set chi phi 1, chi phi 2, chi phi k is an orthonormal basis of ZCG. Of ZCG, the center of the group algebra, the space of all class preserving functions on the group G. Okay, so we already know that this set is an orthonormal set. It suffices to show that it spans ZCG, that is, any class preserving function in ZCG can be written as a linear combination of these characters. So let's prove it. Proof. So let us say f belong to ZCG, be a class preserving function. Okay, then by definition f of any g is same as f of h g h inverse for all g and h in the group G, because it's class preserving functions. Then we can write in the following form. Consider f of x. Okay, then f of x is same as f of g inverse xg for any g in G. You sum over the group elements, so you get order of G many copies of the same element, so divide by order of the group G. So therefore fx can be written in this form. By the preceding corollary, this set square root of dl phi l ij form an orthonormal basis for the whole of the group algebra. Now f is in center of the group algebra, so it is in the group algebra, so f can be written as a linear combination of this. Right? Take in that form. So this is equal to 1 by order of the group G summation G in the group G, and replace f of G inverse xg by some linear combination of these functions. So let us write this big expression here, alpha I j t, and I am absorbing the scalar inside this coefficient, so I will not write it. So phi t I j, okay, and this acting on this element G inverse xg. All right, this, and of course here the sum is over I, j and t, right? Fx can be written like this. Now let us simplify this. I rearrange the summation, bring the summation over ijt outside and rewrite in this form. Now pay attention here, phi t is a group homomorphism, okay? Therefore the value of the ijth coordinate function of phi t at G inverse xg can be written in this form. So phi t of G inverse xg is phi t of G inverse, phi t of x, phi t of G, and its ijth coordinate function, okay, value at the ijth coordinate function. Now we can further simplify this, summation over I j t and alpha I j t, and now look at this. You recall from lecture 5, slide number 5, that this sum is exactly the tilde operator, the projection P from set of all morphism from vector space, from the representation space of phi t with itself to the set of all morphism from the representation of phi t to itself, okay? So this in that notation is just same as phi t tilde acting on x, okay, and I am asking for the ijth entry of this. But again in lecture number 5 we show what the tilde of a linear transformation look like. This is same as summation I j t alpha t I j, and this simply looks like in terms of trace and degree, this is same as trace of phi t at x divided by degree of phi t, which is dt, times the identity matrix, all right, and its ijth entry. Ijth entry, this remains the same outside, but now you can simplify it easily. I know that this is the identity matrix and I am asking for the ijth entry, so only non-zero entry will be when I equal to j. So the summation now runs over, j vanishes, I is same as j, so it is same as I t alpha t I, okay, and trace of this becomes a character, it becomes phi t at x divided by the degree dt, okay. So you can write it as summation over I and t alpha t I mod dt, this is your scalar, and chi t of x. So therefore your class preserving function f has been written as a C linear combinations of these class preserving functions, namely the characters of the inequivalent irreducible representations. This shows that the characters of inequivalent irreducible all inequivalent irreducible representations of a finite group is an orthonormal basis for the center of the group algebra, okay. From here we can deduce the main result that we advertise in the beginning of this lecture. Theorem: the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations, the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations of a finite group is the number of conjugacy classes in the group. Very beautiful result. So let's prove this. By the preceding theorem, the characters of all inequivalent irreducible representations of the group form an orthonormal basis for the center of the group algebra. By the preceding theorem, the characters of inequivalent irreducible representations of the group G, let's fix the group G, form a basis for center of the group algebra CG. But we know that the center of the group algebra has dimension equal to the number of conjugacy classes in the group G, and therefore the result. But we showed that dimension of center of the group algebra CG as a vector space over C is precisely the number of conjugacy classes in G. Hence the result follows. Okay, very beautiful result that the number of equivalence classes of irreducible representations of a finite group G is same as the number of conjugacy classes. Okay, so we can write some immediate consequences of this. A finite group G is abelian if and only if the number of conjugacy classes in the group G is same as order of the group G, and by this theorem it is same as the number of equivalence class of irreducible representation is same as order of the group G. So a finite group G is abelian if and only if it has order of G many equivalence classes of irreducible representations. All right, I will stop here. Thank you.